What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another third-party review, and today we're taking a look at the Bold Forms Gladius, their second release. I believe it's their second release. Yeah, so I want to start by prefacing this review in saying that I understand that Bold Forms is like a guy and his wife, and he does the design, he does the manual, he does the box. Like, I give you massive amounts of credit for that. I hope in the future that stuff can kind of improve. I liked the Lone Wolf. This is a train wreck to me, and I'm going to try to be as, I don't want to say positive, I just want to be as objective as possible here and point out the problems I see with this. He's definitely not worth $150 or $140 or even a discount. This is on loan to me, by the way, by John Gibbons. Good guy. He asked me if I wanted to check it out, and I was like, yeah, I really liked that Lone Wolf. I'll go ahead and check it out. So he sent it my way, and my initial reaction when I pulled it out of the box was, I kid you not, oh no, you know? Yeah, the styling of this guy looks fine. The engineering is well done, but it suffers in terms of like the parts and the materials and stuff. There's no pins on this anywhere. He's got a couple screws and stuff like that. Actually, he does have 2 pins in the crotch, but mostly he's a pinless toy, and like you can tell everything about it. Of course, now he's on camera, but like the way this joint transforms, it just like everything comes loose, and like this is constantly like flopping around, and like his wrist flips around, and you know, the fusion cannon swivel thing just, it doesn't work. It just kind of falls apart. It's just, it doesn't work. Things just fall apart on you here. For kind of a reference, here he is next to MP10, and I like, the face sculpt is probably one of my favorite face sculpts. It's definitely the best one that third parties have done. He comes with a bunch of bonus faces, like a laughing, like an angry, and like in pain face, and I think they're well done. But the figure just is so compromised by the materials, and I'd really love to meet the designer, just to chat with him, because I think it's very impressive that you've gone and made your own figure, and all the stuff that goes into it. I have nothing but respect for you, but it's just so hard, you know, as a reviewer, to tell anyone that this is really worth picking up. Inside the box, you get some accessories. There should be 2 of these. John only had 1. Either he lost it along the way or it never got sent to him. They're like tank turrets here. I actually filmed the tank part first. I don't think I actually pulled this out, just left it in, product of transporting it. And you'll see why I filmed the tank part first when you get there. But here's 2 turrets, and they all kind of form together to make one of those big base platform things. Here's a piece of that platform, and I'm just not going to show it off. I'll show you the book. You get a matrix, but like, what's the point? It's a black piece of plastic. Like, there's absolutely no paint. Like, if you don't look at it closely, you can't even tell it's the matrix. Like, I don't know. You get this barrel piece with this extra piece that slides out of it. You do get the scope to the gun, which, like everything else, kind of can come apart here with like an Omega style clip. So if you ever lose this, that's never going back together. You get the silencer here to the gun, but it legitimately just falls apart on me when I try to move it around, so you can't even really do anything with that. Okay, so one quick correction here. I did say that this doesn't hold together very well. When this came to me, it was misassembled. This was pushed way too far in, and this little piece that I couldn't figure out was actually separate. And when you put it all together, it kind of pushes everything in the right position, that this all pegs in fairly securely, and then these 2 tabs here do tab in to this side of the suppressor, and it holds together much better. You can still see it's working itself apart, but at least it's not just falling over when I pick the thing up. So that is just a little note I wanted to throw in here. Just to show you the weapons platform thing, because I just really never like it, but you can see the silencer piece breaks down into all these pieces. Actually, you do get a sword for Megatron, and then kind of connect everything. There you go, the sword, and you get that little gun emplacement. We're not going to do that. I'll try to show the pieces on Megatron when he's a gun, but this is pretty much where we're stopping with that. To go back to this guy's articulation, like, it's really not even worth bothering, because like once you start messing with anything, like, things just kind of start coming undone. The head is on a ball joint here, and you can kind of see how that messes with this. I don't really like this gap here because it just doesn't feel like Megatron's complete. You do have these shoulder joints up here for transformation, but they do have this tendency to kind of weigh themselves down in time, and like any type of movement will start causing this. This backpack thing, which is supposed to clip in, just kind of falls apart. This is a piece here that you can plug this into somehow to give them that over the shoulder thing, and like you can just see, like, very little force is needed to move any of these parts. Single jointed elbow. You do have the waist swivel here. I guess you have an ab crunch because all this stuff really just wants to come apart, and it's really only pegged in with that one little peg here, which does have this tendency to come out when you're trying to mess with anything. Like, it pegs in securely, like, listen, that's pretty secure, but then like the moment you start messing with things, like, it popped right back out there. So it's not really securing anything. These panels here, the hip skirts, are on this little flimsy joint here that numerous times on me just kind of pops off like this. Yeah, I don't know. Coming down to the legs here, the way this thing transforms, it's very hard to get any outward movement. I thought that it's supposed to bring these all the way in like this, because they show them meeting together, but then if you do that, then this piece can't close around it, so that's not right. So this piece has to plug in, and then these just kind of rest on the outside, which makes this not really work. The knees are jointed in 2 locations, but like so often the top swivel works and not the actual like knee joint on this thing. Like, you can see the joint here. I have real hard time getting that to do anything so the knee looks proper. So yeah, if you're not careful, it just kind of ends up looking like that, and like before you know it, then your Megatron just kind of looks something like this, and it's just like, I feel the engineering is here, but the materials and the fit and finish and everything is not, and it just brings things down completely. So I know what you're thinking. You're like, hey, T2, it's just one guy, you know, he probably doesn't have the factory hookup, so things are more expensive, and that was his fusion cannon and these little circles falling off of it without even doing anything outside, just holding him standing up here. So yeah, it's one guy. He doesn't have the factories, you know, the materials and the quality are not going to be on par with your other companies. And I hear you. I understand that, and I understand the extra costs associated with making a figure like this and everything. But that doesn't mean that I can give it a pass at $150 when, you know, things like this are just kind of flopping around, or, you know, things don't really stay put like they're supposed to, and he's just a nightmare to deal with. And then you have this guy who's the same exact cost, and he's just so rock solid. Yes, probably bigger factories, you know, better production clout, because it's not just one guy, but that doesn't make this guy worth the value. I feel like maybe Megatron's too ambitious of a figure. Maybe if you focused on some mini-bots, maybe if you tried to make the first cliff jumper outside of that Ace Toys that was really just kind of like a Bumblebee knockoff, maybe something like that would work, given, you know, these style of materials and, you know, the factory that could produce it. Again, engineering wise, I think it's smart. It's just the fit and finish don't work. So in a move that's completely uncharacteristic for my channel, we're jump cutting straight to the alt mode, and with only one cannon here, there should have been a second one on this side, looking pretty much the same. But yeah, the transformation for this thing is this just unintuitive nightmare. Now I think the tank, I mean, it's kind of goofy, but you know, you've turned a gun into a tank, and I think that that's pretty cool. I've seen some pictures where this thing is back like this, but if you put it back, it lifts this ankle joint here, so if you want that flat, it always comes forward. And then there's other pictures in the manual that kind of show it a little more forward, so I don't really know what's correct. The little arm piece for Megatron ends up becoming like a little anti-air cannon type thing. I don't know. The tank is okay, but the transformation to get there is kind of a nightmare. And I want to show this. So here's the instruction manual, right? And we go through this, and it gives us, like, you know, to go from robot to gun, we're going to do standard transformation ABC and the gun transformation pattern. And then to go to tank, you just want B and the tank pattern. And then they list, you know, A through whatever. And like, it just shouldn't be this way, because when you look at, you know, pattern B, it's simply a matter of like collapsing the hand, you know, like just put those in. The book is already substantially thick here for an instruction manual. I really feel like adding an extra 2 pages that copy B again in the transformation would make it clear. And the big problem with this is, like, so when you're looking at this stuff, like, you're legitimately looking at pieces of the toy, and you can see, like, there's the ratchet and stuff like that. It's like you took the 3D model and you're like, this is how things should work. But that doesn't work when it comes to transforming the toy, because if you follow this, and I'm sorry, pattern B is a little more extensive than this. You fold in the arms, and then no, pattern B was simple. It's the tank one that's a little confusing. Where's the tank? Right here. Like, it took me forever to realize that this piece down here was not some piece that flipped out. It's the crotch piece to Megatron. And, like, there's no contrast on these pictures, so what you're seeing is pretty much it. Like, it looks like a black shadow of a piece. Yeah, like, it's just not clear what you're supposed to do. Couldn't figure out what piece that was. Took me a long time. And just, you know, I know it's one guy who's done the design, the instructions, and like this just, it needs to be better. You can't really see the part. You never know what you're looking at. And frankly, just having these pieces here and not showing the torso of Megatron anywhere on it is confusing. Especially for this one. I could not figure out how to get these things to align this way. And so I ended up like having them, which they do come in half, and kind of bringing one down and then the other, and then I had the torso on the other side, only to later find out that the torso did need to be on this side, which, had I known that from the pictures, would have really saved a lot of hassle here. So it's just not good like that, and I don't really, I mean, I've kind of got this stuff going on, but it's really hard to get it all figured out. Oh, and that's another thing. The standard transformation pattern tells you to push this little black piece down here. Come on, you can come out. This little black foot piece right here, it tells you to take it and push it in, and I couldn't figure out how to make the gun actually connect, and it turns out that you ended up having to like push it in and then clip the gun, or this little piece on the top, but to clip it, it needs to actually be pulled out, so you can't clip it the way that the instruction manual tells you to do. It's a very minor thing, but I mean, when you have such a frustrating manual as it is, and no pins, so everything just kind of falls off when you're working on it, it's just really difficult to transform this toy back and forth. It's a chore, it's not fun, and then you get to the tank, which, if it only took you a couple minutes to get there, would be fine and all, but when you've spent like 2 hours trying to figure out what the instructions are trying to tell you to do, it's just not fun for such a little payoff. So another jump cut here, and we have him in his base gun mode. This stock is just a way of hiding his legs here. This is what they call option B for the stock. For option A, you can fold this down and you take apart a bunch of the silencer and clip it onto the sides, and it makes a different looking stock. I'll see if I can get a picture of that or show it in the video towards the end. The front end does not look really gun-like at all. Like, you got the opening there for, I mean, not even the opening, but where I would assume the barrel would be here in the front, but the slots just kind of kill it, so it's not really meant to go with all its extra attachments. It's pretty big, pretty close to a real size gun, I'd say. It's a little bit too large, and one thing that kills me is, like, I guess you can keep the trigger forward so you can pull it, but there's no spring or anything in here, so it's just kind of lifeless there, like nothing going on there. I said it's close to a real gun, just for reference. It's empty. Don't safety advocate me on this thing, but this is actually a Glock, and you can just kind of see it's very comparable in size. The Glock is a better hand grip, but I mean, such is the case for a toy Megatron gun. But definitely very overall realistic in terms of the size and the type of gun. So let's go ahead and take this away, and let's throw on some of these attachments here. So to get the barrel, the one time we need this little tiny piece here, you take it and we plug it into the bottom of this, and then that just plugs right in like that, and I think we have it the wrong way. That would be the right way that you would look through it. So it just kind of pegs in like that, and it doesn't peg in well, like just the slightest touch. You can see the peg just wants to come out. A better securing system would have been good. If you want it to look kind of ridiculous, you can just take this whole silencer piece and make sure you have the tab in the bottom and the tab at the top, and you can do that. It's pretty obscenely long. The instructions really kind of tell you to cut it down a little here, and then I guess use the other part to make the other stock option. We'll get there in a minute. You take this, which I don't, so it's got these knobs here, and this is designed to fit on the bottom here, kind of like a laser sight, I guess, but no laser sight. Well, I guess this would be like your mount for the rail, but the other one here, that's just not how you adjust the laser. And you saw earlier, like, these don't even stay on very well either. They're just so barely held on there that it just, I don't know, it's not so great in my opinion. So we arrange the parts that come out of this stock piece here. I have zero idea where this extra piece goes. And you take this, and just for note, that's barely held on. It's good enough that it's going to hold, but it does fall off easy. Make sure that these are lined upwards. I don't know if that makes a big difference, but it seems to hold this on better. And you just slide it on there, and that's stock option 2. And I don't really think that looks great. Oh, and this panel here on the back that makes the back of the gun, it doesn't clip anywhere from what I see. So half the time you're messing around with it, like doing anything, and it just kind of opens, and the stock fell off here. I don't know, let's try it this way. Is that better? Oh, that doesn't sound terribly great. Well, now it's stuck on there, so we'll have to figure that out after here. The guns come off. I don't know. So let's not go on too much longer than this needs to. This is a huge pass, unfortunately. Again, nothing but respect to the designer who, you know, is the engineer, the designer, the guy who's gone ahead and made the manual. He runs the company. Like, great work there. I couldn't do this myself, I'm sure. So you have my respect for that, but unfortunately it's just not a release that I can tell anybody that they should really go check out. Not for $150. This gun's falling apart on me here. I feel like at 90 bucks, maybe, but even that I still feel like is too high considering how much of a hassle and not fun to mess around with this it is, and how the robot is basically an unposable mess. it's really hard to give it a pass at 90. I talked to the owner, John, who's letting me borrow this. I said, what would you have been comfortable paying for this as it is? And he's like, honestly, $50, and I still might feel like I was ripped off. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say avoid this at all costs. And if you are interested, I'm positive at some point it's gonna be on clearance somewhere, and that's a bummer to say. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time.